He probably, yeah, I was going to say he's probably not worried about the women, he's worried about the men, but he's probably worried about both of us.
He sure is.
Anyway,
Sure is.
so what's happening in your life?
Oh, let's see. Wife's pregnant. Still didn't settle with the town. It was supposed to be last week.
How many weeks? Next week.
It's all right. God's in control.
All right.
I'm
running for connection. There we go. We're back.
Yeah. Running for commissioner's going great. Me, G, Brigade, Israel, and we went to Super Saturday, and we got to talk to a ton of residents. So many of them didn't know that the administrator for the county makes more than the vice president of the United States. I mean, that's all you need to know. I could tell you a lot more, but that's when they hear that, and I say, Google it. You don't have to trust me. Look it up.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to run a smear campaign like they do. I'm going to run on facts and track records. So, Lord willing, we shake the tree, drop some apples, make Gloucester County better than it's been.
That's right.
24th highest tax out of 3,100 counties in America. It's painful. And you're paying
We're
that.
34th.
24.
24
out of 3,100.
Yeah. We are. When somebody posted, there's what's his name? Terrence.
Oh, and Wiggins.
And there's Harris Jr. He's a black dude, and he's on the conservative side of things. He's always posting these stats. And the other day I'm looking at these stats, and I had to put, yeah, that's true about New Jersey. The allergies, the pollution, the high taxes, but I said it is convenient.
I don't know about convenient.
Right?
It's funny you say allergies. When I used to be on Home Shopping Network and I would go to Florida, my allergies were gone the second I landed. It was bananas. My voice was different. I had no most nasal drip. It is, and then dummy me, I'm allergic to everything and could build a farm. How dumb is that, right?
Well, you know what? It's the same way when I went to college in North Carolina. I was up in the western part, Boone, and where the mountains are, and I would cross that Delaware Memorial Bridge, and every time I crossed the bridge, I get sick as a dog.
Isn't it crazy?
I kind of get conjunctivitis, and all my allergies would flare up. And
well, the baby has allergies. So Brigade and I suffer terrible with allergies, and now when Israel wakes up in the morning, he goes like this. I boo-boo. So clearly he's got allergies.
Yeah.
But anyway, welcome to Hijack Lifeline. We believe that God rescues the dreams that instances of life, a.k.a. we are the other view, and to my right is Seal today. To my right is Pastor J. Bruce.
Yeah,
Sophia.
wearing Daniel Robert hat and shirt. Our daughter. She works for Daniel Robert. She's the receptionist and she books appointments and everything. So I saw one of the shirts. I said, I'll wear one of them. So he sent me the shirt and he says, and tell me he's got to wear the hat too.
So what is Daniel Robert?
They're remodeling. So they'll come in the house and do remodeling.
Ask him if he wants to sponsor Wigs and Wishes.
Oh, I will.
He can do it for like services. He doesn't have to donate. He doesn't have to donate money. He could, trade labor for sponsorship.
Yeah, for sponsorship.
Yeah, for sure.
He will.
That'd be great. All right. So what are we talking about today?
We're going to talk about an ancient argument that. Oh, look at that.
Blocked by potential spam. Why is everything going haywire today?
That is weird.
We must have a good topic, Dan.
Yeah,
We're attacking our internet.
Anyway, so it's actually an ancient argument that often sits dormant until something ignites it. And I think that the recent disagreement between President Trump and Pope Leo XIV ignited the discussion.
Okay. Can you explain? Because I was texting the principal of GCIT. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I can. Before I do that, I think we ought to ask our viewers, those of you who are watching, and I just got bumped off of Instagram, so I'm not sure why. But anyway, I think we should ask them, and we'll ask ourselves. So when you hear that phrase, Gianna's in the room. Gianna, give us a minute. When you hear the phrase, the separation of church and state, what's the first thing comes to your mind? What do you think about?
Church and government?
Church and government. How do you perceive that when you hear church and state?
Separation of church.
Separation. What do you think?
Like the government not abiding or following by the laws of the Bible or the church, maybe?
This order. She'll put you in.
Hi, Samaj.
Hi, Dimash. I didn't know if you were going to make it.
Always.
I got bumped off of...
Italy late his
I
whole
got
life.
bumped off of
I
Instagram.
told him ahead of time.
You've been late your whole life.
I have not been late my whole life.
Too busy making TikToks. Going to Puerto Rico.
You see, every single one of them is going viral right now.
I saw on
three.
TikTok.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, great. Okay. So back to separation of
Right.
church and state.
Yeah. So, do you have any further thoughts? You just know it deals with the state and the government, right?
The church and the government, yeah, like the government not abiding by the laws of the Bible, like of the church.
All right. What comes to your mind when you think of separation of church and state?
I'll take over.
I think what comes to mind is just the exact words. Try not to intermingle the two.
Okay.
But unfortunately,
So this is so stupid. I'm going to tell you why it's stupid with a capital S. Our currency says, "In God we trust." We say one nation under God. So it doesn't mean what we, and I'm not going to include myself in the we, what people say about separation of church and state. The state, from the beginning of the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of this country, has used the word God. So it doesn't mean God can't be in the country. So in my opinion, with common sense, the church can't tell the government what to do and the government can't tell the church what to do. But it doesn't mean you can't have God in the country. Why would it be on our currency? Why do we say "In God we trust"? You got me heated on that.
But I don't think the separation of church and state is like the removal of God out of the country, though.
No,
You
but
don't, but
no,
the average
wait a
person
minute.
does.
I mean, obviously, courts have ruled that over this Supreme Court has reversed a lot of those decisions.
Yeah.
Always in favor of, as Martin explained it. But when you think of it, and you think of your generation, how do you think of it?
I mean, my generation is ignorant. We just are. So, like, a lot of people definitely think my generation, they believe in the extremity of separation of church and state. They definitely don't believe that religion should have anything to do with the government, and the government should have anything to do with religion.
But God's been on our currency.
But, like, my
One
generation
nation.
thinks there are two
It's in our
religions.
Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah.
One nation, under God, indivisible. What the heck is wrong with
God is
people?
not a major part of patriotism anymore. He used to be.
Okay, but let's play devil's advocate, so to speak. When you hear the phrase, which really, by the way, is not in the Constitution, separation of church and state. It's nowhere in the Constitution. We're going to look at it.
Okay.
All right, it's nowhere in the Constitution. It comes out of a letter that was written by Thomas Jefferson to a Baptist church, and he used the phrase, "the wall of separation." That there was a wall of separation between government and state. The whole purpose of that letter was to say that the government couldn't control the church.
Oh, wow.
See? And then they come up with this phrase, the separation of church and state.
Right.
So I just like to go back to my homeroom. So I'm in 8th grade, and Chuck Scarano was the basketball coach for our varsity team, and he was my homeroom teacher. And he would ask me if I would like to read from the Bible. So I would read from the Bible every day. And he said, "Oh, you don't mind doing that. That's because you wear that silly, goofy uniform out there when you're playing the band." He would say to me, "That's why you can get up here and read from the Bible." But anyway, and I remember the day when he said to me, "You can't read anymore from the Bible." Now, I remember when we couldn't pray. That went out in 62 and 63. But I remember the day when all of a sudden we weren't allowed to read from the Bible, and it really angered me because I never thought, like you, Martino, and you, Samaj, I never thought of the separation of church and state, meaning that God could not be a part of the public arena.
Well, let's go to 1994 in my high school. We still said the Pledge of Allegiance. I don't know if they do today in schools, but we say the Pledge of Allegiance and we say one nation under God. So it is very bipolar to me.
Yeah, but you also stood and said it. Today, half the kids don't even stand. Half the schools don't even say the Pledge of Allegiance.
I believe
You know, when I was in high school, it started dying down. I think I can count my hands quite honestly.
You did the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah, I can count my hands probably.
Because people thought it was racist.
I don't think it was. I don't think that people thought. Well, okay, you get short. Yeah. Actually, you know what? Let's backtrack. I was in charge because I was the vice president of my class when I was in high school. I was in charge of reading the Pledge of Allegiance. So that was the only role they gave me. So I didn't have a speech or anything. I said, you guys give me the most at the time, because my high school was like predominantly black. I said, you're giving me the most sellout thing to do. So I led the Pledge of Allegiance, and I remember like half my class didn't say it, they had their fist up. So it was like, I don't think it was quote unquote racist. It was more so just an opposition of American values. Because you know that, I mean,
Yeah, that's a better statement. That what happened was they felt like they were getting screwed over.
Yeah, I don't
And
think it was a
therefore,
racist
they're not going to stand up and pledge their
Yeah.
allegiance to a country that was screwing them
So
over.
it had nothing to do
That's
with
how I
God.
look at it.
it had nothing to do with God. It was more so just like we're tired of America type of thing. But I can count. I just think it's a cultural thing, BB. Like patriotism is not embedded in culture anymore. Like we could talk about God and stuff, but like it's not like that's not a major part of the American value system anymore. So back to the original question: what is the ignited topic today?
Okay, so when the dispute about the Iranian war included Pope Leo and President Trump, I did a post on the subject. And if you recall, the Pope said God doesn't hear the prayers of those who wage war. And I did a social media post that said Pope Leo is wrong. And I cited a number of scriptures where God heard the prayers of those who wage war. Moses waging war against the Amalekites, Gideon waging war against the Midianites, David facing the giant, right? Hezekiah when he waged war against the Syrians, and I took all the way to
How
the
about
very...
when God waged war against Pharaoh?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, David basically said, "Lord, kill my enemy and let me see it."
Right, that's right. Because then they'll know you are God.
Yeah.
And then you go to the very last book of the Bible, and Michael the Archangel waged this war against Satan and the beast. Obviously, he's asking God for help, right? So I did this thing on TikTok, and I had 46,000 views and 690 comments. But I have to tell you, the majority of the comments, or at least 50% or more, were in favor of the Pope because they looked at the Pope as the voice of God. And I think when we hear this phrase, the wall of separation, it means just that. No church, Methodist, Presbyterian, Roman Catholic, Protestant, whatever it is, can control the government, has final say over the government. And no government has final say over the church.
Right.
I believe that that's what Thomas Jefferson meant when he said the wall of separation is a metaphor that comes from a letter that he wrote to the Danbury Baptist Church.
Real quick, with all due respect to the Pope, he is not the voice of God.
No.
The Bible is the voice of God.
Yeah.
And can I tell you something? There are times you are the voice of God.
For sure.
And there are times, Samaj, you're the voice of God. And as saints, we're all saints if we're blood washed and blood bought, right? To the saints of Ephesus, to the saints of Galatia, to the saints at Rome. You know, we're all saints if we're blood washed. There are times when we speak for God. It's not every moment, but there are times when God puts in your spirit a word, and you know when you speak, that's not you.
Yeah, the Pope has no more authority
Right.
over man than anyone who is washed in the
know.
blood and born again. As you know, when Nicodemus said to Jesus, "What do you mean born again?" You know, people get confused as they don't read the Bible, where it just says you become a new mindset and a new heart, and you have a relationship with God, and it's no different.
Yeah. So how do we know that our forefathers did not intend for religion to be removed from the public arena? So let's look at it.
We have the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights consists of the first 10 amendments of the U.S. Constitution and was added to the Constitution in order to appease anti-federalists who thought the new Constitution did not approve adequate safeguards for the rights of the people. For the first 150 years of the country's existence, there was little debate over the meaning of Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. However, as this citizenry became more diverse, challenges arose to existing laws and practices. Eventually, the Supreme Court was called upon to determine the meaning of the Establishment Clause. Though not explicitly stated in the First Amendment, The clause is often interpreted to mean that the Constitution requires separation of church and state.
Now, I want to say something about this because of the rise of Islam in the United States. So I know there are people who say to me, oh, they don't have a right, but they do have a right.
Yeah.
What they don't have a right is to allow their Sharia law to supersede our government.
For sure.
And that's what this is all about. No church, no religion can control the U.S. government
Right.
or be its final authority, and the government can't be the final authority.
For the church.
For the church.
That's the bottom line.
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah. So I think we should keep reading, Martin.
Sure. So the separation of church and state metaphor is rooted in early American fears of government involvement in the practice of religion, fearing that it would corrupt the church. Specifically, the fear was that it would establish one church to which all people had to bow and belong. It wasn't the fear that religion would corrupt the government, although when church is corrupt, it could corrupt the government. That is a true statement.
So I thought, well, let's just read a few of our founding fathers' statements regarding God in the public arena, right? So George Washington, our first president, said, "It is impossible to rightly govern the world without God and the Bible."
Okay, mic drop from when we started.
Yeah. Patrick Henry, "It cannot be emphasized too strongly or too often that this great nation was founded," look at this, "on the gospel of Jesus Christ."
Wow.
Thomas Jefferson, who was the third president of the United States, said the Bible is the cornerstone of liberty. Students' perusal
The looking
of the sacred volume will make us better citizens.
Yeah.
Benjamin Franklin also said, "Whoever shall introduce into public affairs the principles of primitive Christianity will change the face of the world."
So I don't know. This is why I say it's so stupid. What is wrong with people?
I know. Keep reading, Mark.
Sure.
This is Daniel Webster, the guy who gave us the dictionary.
Yeah, so he said, if we abide by the principles taught in the Bible, our country will go on prospering and prosper. But if we neglect its instructions and authority, no man can tell how sudden a catastrophic may overwhelm us. Well, we're there now. Thanks a lot, Webster. And bury all our glory in profound obscurity. Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane. All right, so Noah Webster.
So I'm sorry. I think it was Noah Webster that did the dictionary, wasn't it?
No,
No, was it Daniel?
I don't know.
One of the Websters. I don't know which one.
I don't remember.
Google that for us, will you, Gianna? So which Webster did the dictionary? But here's Noah Webster.
She don't listen.
Yeah, she does. She's doing it now. Google which Webster did the dictionary.
Even the baby thinks it's funny.
No.
Noah Webster, in my view, the Christian religion is the most important and the first thing in which all children ought to be instructed. No truth is more evident to my mind than that the Christian religion must be the basis of any government intended to secure the right and privileges of free people. Jeez Louise. Bring these, Noah, you were right, Noah.
Noah.
Bring these people back from the dead.
Oh my gracious! And then we're arguing that anything that's Christian has to be removed from school, from listen. What would happen if you prayed in Jesus' name for your council meeting or whatever?
Guess what? They do. The Republicans. They do. They do. And it's Rose Yurka. She prays before every GOP meeting and she ends it in Jesus' name.
Well, you remember when we were in the theater and I prayed in Jesus' name for Pittman and that guy said I divided half of the world because only half of the world. Remember? His name was Fox. Wolf. And can I tell you, he sold more papers. They had to add all these pages of the paper. He sold so many, it was unbelievable. They never sold that many papers because of this dispute on I shouldn't have prayed in Jesus' name, and he just lambasted me as this pastor in the theater and so forth. But I'll never forget the day. I think it was the Debbie Boone concert or Phil Driscoll or Ron Canoli, one of them. I was walking up that Second Avenue, and his office was closed, and I thought, God shut him down.
Well, tell everybody what Andrew Jackson is. This is the 7th president of the United States.
Okay. The book, the Bible, is the rock upon which our republic rests.
That's a president.
Yeah, and Abraham Lincoln said, it is the duty of nations as well as of men to own their dependence upon the overruling power of God, and to recognize the sublime truth announced in the Holy Scriptures and proven by all history that those nations only are blessed whose God is the Lord.
So where did this mix-up happen? That you have all these presidents saying that our country is founded on Christianity, that the Bible is our authority. All these presidents said it.
And our forefathers.
So where did this screw-up happen?
I just think we got too many non-believers, liberal people that don't look at the Bible as our final authority and feel they are the final authority, that felt that God was in the way. Listen, if your culture is going to stamp its approval on same-sex marriage, it can't do it with God's certification, right? It can't do LGBTQ agenda with God's certification. It can't approve of abortion with God's certification. So God's in the way. That's why we remove God from the public arena and from politics. And that was never the intent, that God shouldn't be a part of the political arena. It was the intent that the church, whether the established church, couldn't rule over the government, but never the intent that the church or religion couldn't be a part of our lives.
Wow.
No way.
So it all comes down to convenience.
Yeah, and fortunately, this Supreme Court has been ruling in our favor, which obviously the left and the progressives disagree with. And I believe it's this month, isn't it, that President Trump's having a whole day, going to proclaim a day for national prayer. Not national prayer,
No,
but another day.
it's for Shabbat. He's going to do a national day of Shabbat for Jews.
Okay, for Jews. And I know he did something on National Day of Prayer.
Yeah.
He drew attention to. But I think there's another day, somewhere in there, around our 250th anniversary, sometime when we get near July, that he's going to proclaim that we're nothing without God. So thank God for that.
I just, if I could pretend to be an agnostic or an atheist, and I had no personal agenda or faith in God, yellow and blue make green. If it says in God we trust, if we say one nation under God in our Pledge of Allegiance, how can you think that they meant to not have God involved in our country?
Yeah.
Even if you're not a believer, you have to have enough common sense that yellow and blue make green. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. Well, again, I think it all comes down to the fact that only 33% of Americans today believe the Bible's our final authority for life and faith. So you put that only 33%, you put that 66% in the government, in school councils, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Governors, mayors,
Yeah.
presidents, and then all of a sudden God is a nuisance. He stands in the way. Like what he says goes against what I want to allow.
Yeah, it's convenience
Yes,
at that point.
right. So anyway, any final thoughts, Mr. Mott?
We just need to keep God in everything. Like that. The reason why our world is gone astray now is because we keep removing God out of every aspect of life. Like the fact that we have to argue about the proper material that's in a 5-year-old's book in school. Like this stuff wasn't a problem 15 years ago.
Sure wasn't.
You know what I'm saying? So now, like 5 years, now we have to change thousands of years of just regular living that wasn't hurting anybody. You know what I mean? Just to support some ideologies of people that want to play dress up. I'm tired. I'm tired.
Well,
of
listen,
it.
let's come back to what Martin said when he read from Daniel Webster. It says, "No man can tell how sudden a catastrophe may overwhelm us and bury all of our glory in profound obscurity is when we remove God from our culture."
Listen, it's very simple.
God in the Bible. That's
Sure. So
yeah.
it comes back to convenience. So let's look at it like this. You're someone who doesn't want prayer in school. You're someone who doesn't think God should be in any part of our country. When 9/11 happened, every news station in the world asked for prayers.
Yep.
When Nancy Guthrie went missing, people asked to keep her family in prayers. So it's okay to pray when you feel there's an emergency, But it's not okay to pray to give thanks for this great nation. This
Yeah.
is the problem. God's not Amazon. You don't get him when it can come in 24 hours, right? So it's the same people that don't think that we should say one nation under God or in God we trust are the same people that when an emergency happens or something catastrophic will ask for prayer. And to me, it's an oxymoron.
Well, it's hypocritical.
Yeah.
You know, God doesn't exist until
You need him.
you need him.
Yeah,
God
whatever's
doesn't
convenient
exist-
for them.
Yeah, or God doesn't exist until we all need to come together.
That's
So
right.
God pulls us together. But then once we've achieved what we've wanted, sounds like Israel, doesn't it? Then we just do whatever we feel like.
That's
Yep.
very true.
Yeah.
Wow,
Anyway.
that's a very hot topic, and if you don't like it, too bad. Stop bitching, start blessing, because you
That's right.
need God every day, not just 9/11, not just when someone's kidnapped, not just when someone's
Right.
diagnosed with cancer. You need Him every
And
day.
where would we be if God wasn't present every day?
You know, where I'd be 6
The
feet under.
planets wouldn't hold their course. Come on.
The water would flood the
that's
world.
right. You know, the earth wouldn't be buttoned up by a carpet of green.
Yep.
The stars wouldn't sing. Oh my gracious, where would we be without God? We wouldn't be anywhere because He's our Creator. We
This is
probably ought
true.
to wrap up.
This is true. Hey, remember to like and share. If you'd like to copy today's transcript, let us know. PB will get that to you, email or messenger. If there's something you'd like us to discuss on Hijack Life Live, you can throw it in the comments. Also, our website is hijacklife.org. If you go to YouTube and search Hijack Life Live, you'll see years of these podcasts. We have 3 books available on the website. One is Hope Beyond Suicide. One is When is Divorce Right? The other one is Lust, Love, and Lies. And coming this year is 10 Steps to Guaranteed Christian Growth. We also have t-shirts on our website. One says, "Why are you telling me that?" The back says, "Stop gossip." I should put a billboard out front. One says, "Make life count." The back says, "Stop bitching, start blessing." And then our third one, we're going to leave you with our proclamation. So on 1, 2, 3. Live for Jesus, and even a bad day will be a good day.
Love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. See you next Thursday at the same time.